Hello, Shrewdness fans. It is the best time of the year, holiday season, and we are glad you're spending some time with us. So happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, all that good stuff. Come around the corner. It's a great time of year. It's a great time of year for football. Thanks for bearing with us. We took a week off, had some personal stuff last week, so we had to take a pause, but we are back in full force. We are going to go through a lot of cool stuff today. We're going to take you down the stretch in your fantasy leagues and specifically guillotine. We're going to talk about the thing we don't want to talk about. The City Chiefs, what they need to be doing as their incredible run has ended. I want to give a shout out to my little bro at Harding University this Saturday. Harding football playing for the Division II national title right here, Dallas, Texas. So
Back to
15 and
back,
0. Going well. They won at 23.
2 weeks.
Lost last year. They're going for 2 and 3 years.
Nice.
Yep.
Leading the nation in rushing, about to hit 7,000 rushing yards this team.
That is stupid.
Absolutely
Like,
insane.
even in Tecmo Bowl, you couldn't do that many rushing yards.
So shout out to Kevin, and shout out to their quarterback, who he's had 55 career starts as a college football player and is 51-4. 51-4, which is the most wins for any college quarterback in history. So congratulations to them. Some pretty cool stuff going on this season for them. And you can catch them on ESPN2, 3 p.m. Central. So if you want to see some old school triple option, midline, run the ball down their throats, ESPN2, 3 o'clock on Saturday. All right, that's my plug. And before we get in, thank you guys. I don't know if you've had a chance to follow the socials lately, and we haven't had a pod since this came out. But man, we had a huge year. And if you look at our summer year that we've had so far on Spotify, we're looking for our YouTube stats too, but huge growth. Got some Spotify awards for like being one of the most viewed video podcasts. Also,
most shared.
One of the most shared podcasts. So you guys are doing awesome, and we really appreciate it. We love having you guys on board. We love hanging out together. That's why we started doing this. But it's really cool to see you guys loving it too and enjoying it. So absolutely, thank you guys very much. Please continue to like and share and forward to your friends if you're getting any value out of this. But hopefully, you're just having a good time like we are. And even though the guillotine and the fantasy season is winding down, we'll be talking sports and other things all year round. And hopefully you can spend some time with us and laugh a little bit, enjoy life. So that's what we're all about. Without further ado, let's talk about fantasy football. Toss it over to the one, the only, Jonathan Dexter.
Thanks, Chiz. If you are still with your head in guillotine, congratulations. You are among the final 3 in your league out of 18 competitors. You're on the podium. You're a winner no matter what. Of course, you want to make it through 2 more chops, but damn, heck of a season. Good job, especially if you're new. So I know our listener league is all brand new people except for us. They're having a great time. So even though our top guy just went out, like he was the high points, I think he won 6 high score weeks. He needed Devon A-Chain to have 1 more catch last night, and he would have survived. But as it is at this time of the season, sometimes he doesn't have that good game or that good second half, is we can attest for our props. So if you followed our props last night in that game, if he would have gotten his over 79.5 rushing, Tim would have survived 1 more week. But it was fun. So that's what this part of the season's all about. You made the podium. Great work. We want to look more instead of looking backwards because you all know what last week is. So I don't know if that's going to be too value added. So we've decided to flip the script this week and look ahead. So we're going to talk about some of our in-game players, which is probably the ones you're starting, and the matchups which look good and some that look a little bit scarier. First, I want to talk about who our in-game guys are and how they're doing, because these will probably be your guys. So we're going to try and hit it right on the head. So our quarterbacks that we kind of put out at the end of week 14, and I think most of them, barring one, unfortunately, is still doing you right. So Drake May, still doing you pretty good. Matt Stafford, not terrible at all. He didn't have his best game, but he still got you over 20 points. And then we had Patrick Mahomes. We'll talk about him later, as Chisholm alluded to. A rough couple weeks, and it ends with an ACL. At least it was in the last 20 seconds, so you squeezed out every drop of crap from that rock that he gave you this week. With at least he ran the ball like 60 yards, but other than that, not so good. And Joe Burrow, another one we thought would do pretty dang well. Yeah, he hasn't had his best games. He's gotten you some, but he just hasn't thrown those touchdowns and getting shut out at Baltimore against that atrocious defense all season long.
That was weird.
Not ideal.
It's unbelievable. Unbelievable how that happened. No, but Josh Allen, who was doing absolutely nothing for a half, decided to give you the second half, which he will do. That's why you have Josh Allen. Sometimes he doesn't, but he did this time. Josh Allen hooked you up. Dak Prescott hooked you up. And that's kind of our in-game guys that you should be having on your team. Now, there are some unique situations. So, Chisholm, why don't you tell us about your situation going into this week? Because you are still alive in the listener league, but you just lost Patrick Mahomes. And so now
I just lost Patrick Mahomes. And like, if Pruitt and Dexter have been calling me La Cucaracha all season, because I truly have danced amongst the landmines.
Yeah.
Like, there's a couple weeks that I was sweating all week because I shouldn't have made it. I got some lucky performances, which you got to have. You got to have some weeks where you like say, I'm not going to spend those fab dollars, and I didn't, or I got outbid. And then I was like, oh, crap. Now I'm really sweating. But if you make it through that, then you're sitting pretty good. And that's what happened to me. And so it all kind of fell right this year. But the dreaded injury happened. I had been relying very heavily on Patrick Mahomes to dial up about 30 points a game for me at the QB spot between his running and 3 touchdowns. And
it was fun for a long time.
It was fun for a long time. So
the
now,
last 2 weeks.
Now, yeah, he didn't help me the last 2 weeks, and now he's gone. And so, when you look at who's out there right now, it's not like they're horrible options out there. But of course, like, the way the guillotine works is after a certain point, which was week 14.
Yeah, no more pickups after week 14.
No more pickups.
Right.
So if guys get chopped after that, their players are not able to be picked up.
More auctions. There's still free agents available.
Yeah, you can pick up free agents, but not from the chop teams. So all their players are dead. They're perma boneyard guys.
That's right. So that kills a lot of guys pretty quick. When guys start falling, some of the best quarterbacks are gone. So, you're kind of looking at mid-range guys, and that's where matchups become all the more important. So that's, I think, why it's important, Prue, Dex, for you to talk a little bit about what you guys see. What do you see from a matchup standpoint on those quarterbacks that are kind of in the middle, the ones that are probably going to be around still, that you like a matchup? And let's talk about that position by position.
All right. So I got one I'll start off with, Prue. I'm looking at one that looks like a nice game, and it'll be 2 quarterbacks I think should be available. There's no real reason they should be rostered, so they should be available. They shouldn't have been on a chopped team the last 2 weeks. So Jordan Love and Caleb Williams. That's going to be a good game in Chicago this weekend. The over-under Vegas has is 46, so they see some points in this game. The weather's actually going to be pretty decent. It's the super ice-cold Arctic breeze is gone, and heck, we're supposed to be in the 50s, 60s here in Illinois, so that's where the game's going to be. I think it's going to be good weather. I see a high-scoring game. Jordan Love's been lights out the last few weeks. I think he set a career high for 3 games in a row for a 3-game stretch. Caleb Williams is still someone that I probably trust a little bit less than that, but at the same time, he's going to run more, so he kind of gives you a little bit of that. I like both those quarterbacks. It's kind of like break glass case of emergency, which is kind of where you're at right now. And when you're looking through the bone pile, these are 2 guys I think could help out this week and give you a pretty high floor. Maybe not necessarily a 35-point ceiling. Not that they can't. It's just that neither one we're going to probably run in any touchdowns. They're probably going to get 2 to 3 touchdowns max if they're throwing. They're probably get about 300 yards passing, kind of the high side. But I think those are 2 good options. What do you think, Prue? Or is anyone else you've looked at down the chart here?
Dex, I agree. Caleb Williams, I do like to occasionally run in a touchdown. He's had, I think, a few this year and caught one too, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, he did.
So
yes, he did.
He's a good kind of wild card. Could be a Josh Allen type week, plus or minus. So maybe a larger range than you want, but you're down to the end now, so you may have to throw up a Hail Mary if you're predicted to go out or something.
That's right.
So I think that is a good play. The other game I was looking at, LA versus Dallas. So Justin Herbert and or Dak Prescott. Maybe one of those guys is available, and that's another predicted, high scoring game. Dallas, good offense. LA, pretty good defense. So Dallas will be probably throwing a lot because they'll probably be playing from behind. So I think Prescott's a decent play this week, and he's had quite a few weeks over 250 with a couple touchdowns. So not a bad play,
Yeah.
in my opinion. And then the other one that I thought I'd throw out there is like the Cincinnati Miami game. I think it's rare that Joe Burrow has 2 bad games in a row, which he's kind of had. So this one, I expect him to rebound and maybe get his act together and put up some numbers against a subpar Miami defense in the
Does help going
80-degree
against
Miami
Miami.
sun.
Yes.
Even though Miami's better when they're home, there's
Yeah.
that cold
Yeah.
weather game. God, they just can't.
They're brutal in
play.
cold
It's
weather.
cold. It's unbelievable. You keep thinking, not this year. This is made up. It's a made up stat. It's
Nope.
cold outside. I can't play football anymore. Bull crap.
Nope.
Half these guys play the Big Ten are from Ohio, Pennsylvania, New York.
Right.
Yes, you can. It's just
Right.
cold.
It's Tua. It's
But
Tua.
dang, man.
It's he
No,
is a Hawaii boy who cannot play in that cold, man.
it is
It's crazy.
bad. So whatever.
So let me
Maybe
throw
there's a
one of
thing.
these. Let me throw one out to you guys that is available just as a curiosity pick. I want to get your read on this guy. He's playing versus Atlanta. Kobe Brissett. Where
Man,
do you guys stand
yeah.
with Jacoby Brissett?
You could do worse. And it depends on which Atlanta shows up. So they've been Jekyll and Hyde on defense all the time, and you never know which week, which is why it sucks betting on Atlanta. Because when they show up, they're pretty good. But the times when they don't, they're really, really bad. But you look at their metrics, their defensive metrics, they have a good line, they have good linebackers, they have a good secondary. But then again, they get a whole bunch of penalties, like is what happened last week. So AJ Terrell is just getting torched and had like 1 million PIs. I don't know what's going to happen this week. But generally speaking, Jacoby Brissett has made Kyler Murray expendable. And he's
Yeah.
playing well enough. He knows how to hit Trey McBride. He knows how to throw to his top guys. Michael Wilson and Marvin Harrison are viable options. And with Kyler, that wasn't really the case. I mean, Trey McBride was, but now the whole offense is kind of more viable. And that's with no running game. I mean, they have
Yeah.
trash bags. They're 4-5 running backs. They lost all their best guys for the season early on.
That's
I
true.
mean, Vincent supposedly he's going to be coming back, but I've heard that for 3 weeks now. So I don't know if he's ever coming back.
Yeah.
So he'll probably be back this week, since I'm
Right.
saying.
Right.
But as far as I like your Jacoby Brissett kind of flyer, I don't know if I necessarily like him more than Jordan Love and Caleb Williams. I mean, I was looking at that game too, but it's still Jacoby Brissett. But then again, maybe I got to get over that because, I mean, when you look at his last few games, I mean, geez, last chunky games, just from a fantasy perspective, he hasn't had less than 18 points fantasy. 20, 19, 24, 19, 21, 18, 19, 19,
Pretty
20.
consistent.
And the thing is, he's
Yeah.
thrown 2 touchdowns a game and all but 1. And he's actually ran a little bit too. I mean, not a ton, but he's had 20-yard game, a 30-yard game, 16, 22. You could do worse. And I think he's thrown up enough points. I kind of like Jacoby Brissett, and I thought it's just that Atlanta's defense can be good. I just don't know if they will
Right.
be this week.
Well, Pruitt, what do you think about another guy out there, Jackson Dart? So he's going against Minnesota's defense. Minnesota is a pretty good pass defense, if I recall.
Yeah.
Prue, what's your feel on Mr. Dart?
I'm less optimistic. I mean, he's a great quarterback, but Brian Flores is kind of a defensive master. He disguises
Especially
his
against rookies.
Yes. So rookie quarterbacks against very seasoned defensive coordinators don't like that matchup very well. Just raw talent wise against an average defense or an average defensive coordinator, I think he would be all right. But yeah, I think Brissett or Jordan Love or even Caleb Williams would probably
Good
be better
options.
picks.
Yeah, I'd like
better
J.J.
options.
McCarthy better in this particular game going the other direction because the Giants' pass defense is 23rd in the league.
He was the one I was going to throw to you next, Dex, giving
Yeah.
you a little homer action, but I was going to say what you thought about J.J. McCarthy. So that's
Yeah. So
a good
J.J.
one.
McCarthy is someone that is finally getting multiple games in a row. He's only had the 8 starts. Like, it seems like he's been his second season, but he just hasn't played at all. He's 4-4. He's 4-4 as a starter. And I know we just had a fun little thing a couple weeks ago, if you listen to our pod, and Chisholm just highlighted all these stats about how much of a trash bag he is. Then I just happened to have a little rebuttal ammunition and highlighted, he looks strikingly similar to Josh Allen. And I'm not saying he's going to be Josh Allen again, but you could kind of see the swag on the little QB bootleg out to the left. He came in doing the gritty against Dallas. And he definitely has confidence. Don't say the kid lacks confidence, And the
Well,
thing is,
his last two
yes,
games, he's played really well. I mean, his QB rating in the 3 games before was 54, 47, and 34, which I think if you just hike the ball and ground it, you get higher than a 34. So he had a 34 that game, but to your point, Dex, against Washington in 2 weeks ago, he had 129.2 QB rating, and then
yes.
last week against the Giants, he had 108 QB rating. So he's thrown 5 touchdowns and 1 pick in the last 2 weeks.
And he's ran for one. So he's had 6
Yeah.
touchdowns accounted for, and he's looking good. And the stat that we don't see, it was killing us before, is a freaking picks. So he has
Yeah.
5-1. So 5 touchdowns to 1 pick. You can take that ratio all the way to the bank. Yeah, I'll take 40 touchdowns next season, and I'll take
Oh
that
yeah.
8 picks. That sounds
The
good to
only
me.
the only thing I would like to see, I don't know if Dex, I don't know if he and Justin Jefferson just need some cuddle time, or what
It
needs
is
to happen
amazing.
there. If they need to spoon
And
or what, because
it's
this is
only to Justin
weird
Jefferson. He
because
airmails it.
he cannot
Only to
throw
him.
the ball to Justin Jefferson for whatever reason.
Yeah, it's like, he's running the right route. There's some things that are certain in life, and Justin Jefferson's running the right route. You need
Yeah.
to hit him when he has a 10-yard cloud around him. Like, I am so open. Like, he
Right?
should have had a touchdown. He should have had a 40-yard gainer. If you guys watched the game, listeners out there, you know what I'm talking about. But Justin Jefferson, God, if they start getting on the same page, he's going to be phenomenal. It's just, he's the only one that's not. TJ Hawkinson's having some good games. Freaking Naylor's having some good games. Jordan Addison's having some big gainers. The number one guy is struggling. So I think once we get all of them on the same page, and Aaron Jones is nice to have for a young quarterback. So Aaron Jones has been catching some balls out of the backfield for him, which always helps. I do like J.J. McCarthy again. This defense sets up well as a favorable, tasty matchup for him. I think he can run if he needs to scramble. And he's been going through his progressions. So that's what we did not see earlier this season. We saw fear and deer in headlights, like, oh, and then he'd just try and run and hope for the best. And then when he did throw it, it's just kind of a prayer. He was throwing him so high. He's getting his mechanics better. So if you've watched the games, and the Minnesota Vikings fans, I promise you, we are studying those things. And what we've seen the last 2 weeks. If we can carry that on for the rest of this month, I think Minnesota may have that quarterback of the future that they desperately need. So we'll see. I think he'd be a good fantasy asset this week too. So you could do
That's
work.
good.
Yeah, there was one particular play. I know he kind of gunned the ball into the end zone, and he didn't really need to, and I think it caught Justin Jefferson kind of by surprise. And it's like
Right.
yeah, he's just like, I don't know. There's something, he hasn't quite settled in. He's starting to like speed up to where he's like you said, going through his progressions, not panicking and all that. So he's getting up to the right game speed. But he's still throwing the ball to Justin Jefferson. I mean, if I was throwing the ball to Justin Jefferson, I'd probably panic and
Yeah.
screw up too. I thought he was going to come up to speed earlier in the year, but it's good to see him kind of coming around at the end of this season.
Yeah, I agree. So when you guys want to shift to some of the other skill positions here, what do you guys see from a running back standpoint in terms of matchups that you like this week? Because if you're still alive in Guillotine, you've got a stacked team. So you're probably going to have 3 or 4 running backs that all could be startable. Which running backs do you like, and which running backs would you avoid heading into this week just because you don't necessarily like the matchup or how they've been performing lately?
Yeah. Well, I'll start with the one that got probably some people chopped this last week. I mean, including our league. So Devon A-Chain is now going to go to Cincinnati. So old man Derrick Henry just got a 100-yard game against him last week. It wasn't really that great of a game, but he still got 100 yards. I think A-Chain's going to have over 120 scrimmage yards, probably easy. They'll probably bust one just because he's way faster than the Cincinnati defense. It's going to be back home. Now it's kind of amazing. Sometimes when the teams are eliminated, they play more free. I think that's what we're going to see with Miami. I think they're going to be like, whatever, let's go have some fun and see what happens. And they're going to enjoy seeing Cincinnati's defense because everybody else does. And I think Devon A-Chain bounces back for you. So he's my favorite one of our in-game guys. And in my flip side, the one that I'd be most concerned about for my in-gamers, James Cook. And it's only because he's going to Cleveland. God, that defense is good. I know
It's
They're not
rough.
winning games, but they're not getting blown out either, and they're hard to run against. And James Cook just had a huge game against New England, which is another pretty good run D, but I just find this one's gonna be harder. And Buffalo's 10-point favorites. It's only 42 points over under for Vegas. I think James Cook's gonna have a hard time kind of funding running lanes. It's gonna be a lot of Josh Allen, I think, and probably short passes. So he might get it in the catches. But man, if you see a 100-yard rushing game and 2 touchdowns out of James Cook this week, you got the Back to the Future box from Biff, because I just don't see that.
Right.
Yeah.
And it
I
can't
love
happen.
it.
I
Yep.
don't see it.
I love it. Prue, what do you see when you look at that running back position this week? Anybody you like? Anybody you don't like?
Yeah, I'd be licking my chops if I were Bijan Robinson against Arizona
I
this
like
week.
that.
I think they're going to be feeding him the ball like they always do, both on the ground and in the air. I think Jahmyr Gibbs may have a tougher time against a Pittsburgh defense that's playing decent lately.
Yep.
Other than
They're
that,
both must-win games. It's a must-win game for both, in my opinion, Pittsburgh and
Yeah.
Detroit.
Detroit is really on the outside looking in right now. I know by at least a game and maybe 2 games before they can climb back in it. So, yeah, they pretty much
They
have
lose
to
at
win
home
out.
against their toast.
There's so much about this season that has been different than the last few years, and that's one that I don't think any of us would have called Detroit
No.
being on the outside looking in at this point in the season.
And they're not bad. They don't even look that bad.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's crazy.
Let's look at the last skill position, wide receiver, tight end. Wide receiver, tight end. Again, you're going to have a lot of good options right now in Guillotine if you're still alive. Anybody that you guys say, I don't like the way they're trending, or I do like what I see out of that?
Prue, you have one you want to start off with?
Yeah, I almost hate to say it out loud because we've given him such a hard time all season, but Kyle Pitts has really stepped up.
That's the exact one I was looking at.
Right?
I was like, oh, I just don't want to go there and say it, though.
I'll fall on that
It's-
grenade, Dex. It's fine. I'll take it.
It's so true,
But
though.
it's Kyle effing Pitts. Just
Yes.
like he effing Higgins. When you count on him, if you need him, he's going to screw you. That's why we don't want to say
Yeah.
it.
Right. The last 2 or 3 weeks, I've seen the over-unders on receptions, and it's always like
He's
5.5
killing.
or something. And I'm like,
Right.
there's no way Kyle Pitts is going to get that many. And then he comes up with 9 catches or something crazy. And
Right.
you're like, oh, okay, well,
Oh,
it's Kirk Cousins going back to the bread and butter. And I don't know, without Drake London around as much, Kyle Pitts has really stepped up lately. And so I kind of like that matchup. And then on the opposite side of the field, Trey McBride is always a good play. Obviously, number 1 tight end as far as receptions, I think. So he's going to be tough to slow down.
Yeah, his over under receptions number seems to be insane every time I look at it. It's like 7.5
7.5. Yeah.
for a tight end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With
I
a
think-
backup quarterback.
So I like that one. I'm scared of it because it's hard to count on Kyle Pitts, but 12 targets, 11 catches, 166 and 3 touchdowns. And frankly,
Yeah.
he's been the best wideout on that team the last few weeks. And this is a lot because Drake London's been hurt. So
Yeah,
my
totally.
caveat, my asterisk to that is if Drake London plays this week, do not count on Kyle Pitts to be doing the
Yeah.
same thing he's been doing. Like cut it in half, but still half would be, I think a 5 for 70 is not the worst thing ever. And certainly
That's-
something you could see.
Yeah,
That's not
that's
bad at
still
all.
13, 15 points out of your tight end. Not
Yeah,
bad.
and if he gets in the end zone, he's a 20-pointer all of a sudden.
Yep, my sneaky one though, and we saw it again. So Darren Waller's back playing, and again, just like as much as I like Devon Achane playing against Cincinnati, I like everybody that plays against Cincinnati. So
Yeah.
Darren Waller at home against Cincinnati, I like him as kind of a sneaky play because he kind of was forgotten because he was hurt again, and it's Miami, but even Miami was kind of hot, but he just wasn't really involved that much. But I think Darren Waller is someone that at least look at. Again, when you're going against just a trash bag team, it's not a bad thing. According to Yahoo, Cincinnati is number 1 friendliest defense for tight ends. So out of all the league, they are the best one of giving up points to tight ends. And again, the 2 weeks before this was terrible. That's why Darren Waller, but it was the Saints and the Jets who are towards the better end of stopping tight ends. But against Pittsburgh, who is the second worst, he went 7 for 66 and 2 touchdowns. Again, it was late. It was kind of trash bag touchdowns if you watch the game. Who knows if that's real, but all I know is Cincinnati's defense blows, and they're the worst. But Darren Waller is someone to for sure look at, especially if you have a spot or you have an extra flex spot for injury or whatever the case may be. If you start 2 flex players in addition to a tight end, you might need somebody. You could do worse than Darren Waller because they definitely look at him in the red zone.
He's
That's
a huge target down there,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. Good size.
still very reliable when he gets down there.
I mean, he scored in 4 of his last 6 games, and it's 2-2 on some of those games. So when he's a big red zone, he's like Devontae Adams for them in the red zone. Let's just put it that way. I
He
think
also seems to be the guy that they target on every 2-point conversion too.
yeah,
I've
that
noticed.
too. Yeah. So that's a thing. So Darren Waller's kind of one of the sneaky ones. Is there anyone you like, Chisholm, that stands out for matchup wise?
I mean, of course, I am neck deep in this, and I am like over analyzing everything right now.
Yeah.
So it's all starting to become very muddled for me. I think like this is what happens when you get to this point in the season. Like I'm looking at Nico Collins, right? He's one of my starting wide receivers, and I'm like,
Yeah.
Nico Collins is going against Las Vegas. This should be a gimme. And then I'm like, oh, but wait, they may be up by too much. They may not throw the ball in the
Oh, I
fourth
know.
quarter. Like I'm starting to like.
You're in the deep questioning
question.
doubt sweats. You're in the everything sweats.
I see the negative on every guy that I look against. So it is it's really super bizarre. It's a bizarre place to be in. I don't like. You know who I like?
Who's that?
And I have no reason to go here, but I have this weird hunch about AJ Brown this week, and
All right.
he is the most Jekyll and Hyde of any Jekyll and Hyde wide receiver you could find.
He's been good the last month, though.
But he's been
one of the
much
best.
better the last month. They're going against Washington. Washington's dead in the water.
Yep.
I think Philly needs to try. I think they're going to try to do a lot of things that they need to do to win in the playoffs. They need to start establishing a few things. They need to establish Saquon, and they need to go to AJ. And so if I were them, I would spend the next 2 or 3 weeks forcing those things. I would be like, hey, we're going to see if we can make this happen, because if these things don't happen, we're not going anywhere in the playoffs. So I like him for that reason. He's one that's kind of jumped. I don't have the ability to use him, but he was one I was looking at matchups that I was like, yeah, I kind of like that. So he's definitely one that I like. I don't like as good as he has been. If you look at his overall numbers, we've talked about him in the last 2 weeks. He's burned us. George Pickens.
Yeah.
He's going against
he's got a lot of quit in him.
He has a lot of quit in him, and he's cost himself millions of dollars in the last 2 weeks, I believe, because he was set up to, after that phenomenal performance that he had, he was set up to like massive contract. And there were, here in Dallas, Cowboys fans were like, whatever we got to do to sign him, we need to do whatever we need to do to sign him. And then the last 2 weeks, he's shown that he can totally be mercurial, like this podcast.
Yes.
He is a mercurial dude, and he is not to be counted on. And that's super frustrating, because he's a guy who should be a number one, and a number one every week, that is like torching people. He should be Jamar Chase. He really should. And he is just, and now he's going against the Chargers, and the Chargers have everything to play for, and they're really good against the pass.
Yeah, they are.
So I wouldn't touch him with a 10-foot pole if I had him on my roster right now.
Yeah. So a couple more kind of sneaky ones that I like. Jalen Coker has been looking really good for Carolina. So I don't know if you have injury spots you might need to plug up, but going against Tampa Bay is susceptible to the pass. I mean, they got Antoine Winfield back there, is really good at safety, but as far as the corners, they've lost some people this year. So I think Jalen Coker is someone to at least eyeball. And then Harold Fannin Jr. for the tight end spot, could be in a flex. This dude has 25 targets the last 2 weeks and 15
crazy
for like just over about 160 yards, a touchdown. And frankly, he's been the number one target on Cleveland the last month and a half. Like if you looked at either stats and watched him, he's pretty freaking good. And he's not going to get a touchdown. I mean, it's Cleveland. So, I mean, they just don't have as many scoring opportunities, but he has 2 touchdowns in the last 3 weeks. So I think Harold Fannin's another one. And we talked about him at the beginning of the year. This guy had 0 drops in college, I think is what it was. It was something insane. And he was also put on the best performance in a college football season, arguably of all time. And we're seeing in year 1, maybe he is raw. Maybe he doesn't run the routes perfect. But there's another guy in Kansas City who wasn't really super sincere about running perfect routes that turned into a Hall of Fame tight end. So Harold Fannin Jr., just keep watching him, because I think he's going to be up high on next year's draft board for the tight end position. And he can also help you down the stretch, I think. No matter what your fantasy league is, if it's standard or if it's guillotine, I think he's still someone that can help out. Buffalo's a tough matchup, but what I see is a lot of passing in the second half, probably. And the dump offs, a lot of those go to Harold Fannin. So it's kind of one other one I wanted to throw
I
out.
like that. I like that.
Yep.
That's good.
Yep. I think you're spot on there.
All right.
Excellent.
Is there anyone else you're just kind of nervous about on the wide end side? Or the wide end. That's even worse. You got a big wide end. I cannot lie. But for the wide receivers, so I have kind of no worries about St. Brown. Amon-Ra, no problem. Jamar Chase, no problem. CeeDee Lamb, no problem. Rashee Rice is now kind of someone I'm worried about because we have
Oh yeah, I don't like
Gardner
it.
Minshew. I mean, George Pickens was one of the guys because of what he had done up until the last 2 weeks, and we just talked about him, so no. Drake London, if he comes back, what are we going to get from him? I don't really know. Devontae Adams is out.
I'm
So
worried. Yeah.
our 8 in-game wide receivers, there's 4 of them now that I don't trust anymore. JSN, so Smith and Jigba, no problem. And Puka, no problem. Even though I thought he got nicked up too, but I
He
know
did, but he's not showing up on the injury report, so
Yeah,
he
that's
must
what
be
I-
okay.
that's what I saw too. So I think we're going to be okay.
That's
But
going to be that Thursday night's game
lot
is
of
going to be
guys.
really good. There's a really good matchup between JSN and Puka on Thursday night.
Yeah.
short week.
Short week. It's only predicted to
good
be
defenses.
a 44-point game. Yeah, good defenses and not a strong number 2 opposite of JSN. So I think he'll get a lot of double teams. And with Devontae Adams being out, Puka's going to get a lot of double teams too. So it might be tough for those guys.
Yep.
They're good enough teams. They'll still find a way to get them, a reasonable amount of catches. It's not like they're going to get shut out, but I don't expect huge games from either of those guys.
Yeah, I also struggle a little bit because I struggle with JSN because it is pumpkin season for Sam Darnold, and this is
Stop.
this is the
Come
time
on, man.
this is the time of the year in the clutch when
Uh.
Darnold's gonna pumpkin up. So if I'm looking at Stafford on one side of the ball and Darnold on the other side in a must-win game, there's one that I definitely like better than the other.
Sam had 270 yards last week against the Colts in Old Man River. And the thing is, they couldn't run the ball. Could not run. So
At all.
I don't even know if they got to 50 freaking yards against the Colts. So
They definitely didn't because I started Kenneth Walker the third.
the thing is, so Sam Darnold still hit Smith and Jigba 7 for 113 yards.
Yeah.
And that is going to play. The thing is, Rashid Shaheed is the other guy. And it's one we talked about a month ago after that trade happened. We're like, he could be pretty good. 5 for 74. So he's starting to get some. And I think of the secondary wide receivers in this particular game Thursday, Shaheed is someone that, heck, he might be my prop for this Thursday. I kind of like Shaheed.
Yeah.
Because Cooper Kupp, boy, does he look old. And it's amazing how
He
that's
got
going to
old
happen.
fast, didn't he?
A free agent, he's going to shore up the second side. No, not shored up anything. He just looks old and slow. Well, like,
You know who
Pruitt's
else?
AJ
Mike?
Barnyard Barner better than that.
I started to say you might have noticed that AJ Barner had 6 targets last week. So
Yes, he did. AJ Barner's
throw
coming
that up
on.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Pruitt was ahead of his time with that AJ Barner pick.
That's
for
right.
sure.
Like, here's what's going to happen. All
I
right.
have no idea.
So that's what we're thinking about for this week.
Speaking
Yeah, go
of, I will throw out this one little fun stat. Speaking of Old Man Rivers, I think everybody who was over 40 was cheering for Old Man Rivers this weekend.
Yes.
To see him out there. Fun stat for you. Matt Stafford would have passed Phillip Rivers in all-time passing yards today or last weekend if Phillip Rivers had not come out of retirement. So Phillip Rivers is stiff-arming Matt Stafford and saying, no, you will not take my all-time yardage lead.
Until next week. As I put up 120 yards of old man yards.
Of screen passes.
Right.
Yeah. He actually, I was surprised he threw as far as he did. And Josh Downs actually missed one.
He did.
Like, he just didn't even look. It was a perfect throw. Like, oh my God, I would have gone for a big gain. So, Old Man Rivers, good job for you because you're right, Chiz. Old
Big
guys on the
props.
couch everywhere are like, I told you I could still play.
Phillip
I still
Rivers.
got it. I still got it.
I still
And
got
Old Man
it.
Rivers just said, yeah.
That's
I love
right.
it. Especially
That's
for one of
right.
the most cocky guys of all time. His interview is
Did
great.
you see the post-game interview when they asked him what his playing weight was?
Yes.
I did not. I missed that.
It was very good. You need to go back and watch it. They were like, so what's your, what are you weighing in at, for this game? And he was like, I honestly don't know. I can tell you it's more than I weighed when I played whatever his last game was.
5 years ago.
When I
Right.
when I walked off the field at Buffalo or whatever, and then I don't know. Anyway, he was chiming in that he agreed he was old and out of shape and whatever. But anyway,
if you
it was good to see him
he's
back.
definitely added some insulation there, which I think is
Yeah.
is probably a good thing given
Yeah, we call it padding.
given the fact that I was watching with some of the older guys in my neighborhood for part of that game, and I was like, I can't tell you how petrified I would be if 22-year-old guys were running after me at full speed at this stage
Yeah.
of my life.
I wasn't fast
Right.
5 years ago. I haven't gotten faster since then. Like,
You know
my
it-
kids bring me beers. I don't need to go to the fridge.
You know it cannot feel good when you get hit at that age and
Oh, man.
you go down. So huge props
My
to him
s-
for getting out there and doing it. It is fun.
My spine
That's
and my
for sure.
shoulders have not gotten stronger in the last 5 years. So
My
I don't think I
goodness,
could take a
can
hit.
only imagine.
All right. I want to pay a little homage and reflect back as we go into this next segment. And again, if you just hate Chiefs, just skip ahead to the next part. Just ahead. We're going to talk a little bit
Or relish in the pain that we're feeling.
Or you could also just look at what a tremendous. If you look at it with the right rose-colored lenses, yeah, this season has not been good. Yeah, this was not the best. Yeah, he's finishing with a losing record, and the Chiefs aren't going to make the playoffs for the first time in forever. And to the cheering of many, sounds great. But what a run of greatness we just watched. And it came to an end in a very non-satisfying way. It's not like he had it's just so hard to watch it. He goes out on an injury. It's kind of late. He'd already thrown the ball and got kind of pushed. It's kind of weird. And yeah, it's normal. You kind of wish he just would have fallen down on the initial push.
Right.
And he went and had a knee that looked exactly like what happened to our left tackle earlier that game.
Totally.
Play two, the same knee going, they can rehab together. But the Mahomes run that he has had has been so freaking incredible. And to realize that, as Chisholm mentioned in our Patreon, this will be the first time he's not gone to the AFC Championship game in overtime. That is the shortest.
Earliest he's been eliminated before this.
That's the shortest season he's had. So reflecting on that, it sucks if you're a Chiefs fan. We also kind of saw the writing on the wall. I mean, just nothing. And I mean, nothing was going right. And then we lost our fourth starter on the line at the beginning of this game. Like, you got to be kidding me. What are we doing here? And then to have the game end.
8 or 9 linemen deep now. I mean, it's such a joke up front.
It looks
at
like
this
it.
point.
Yeah. So, Chiz, I just want to kind of throw it back to you, but just want to start it off with that. It's kind of sad at the end of just sustained excellence for a big decade of just crushing people, winning divisions. A little bit sad, but at the same time, that's life, man. Life's going to hit you sometimes. And he already had his surgery, so just watch out, NFL. Do you really want an angry rehab Mahomes coming at you next year with a healthy line? Okay, so there's some hope there.
That's right.
Chisholm, what do you got for us?
A couple things here. First, this is the first time the Chiefs won't be in the playoffs since 2014. That is a crazy stat to think about.
Woo.
That's in the parity-driven setup for equality NFL. To have that kind of a run is pretty absurd. This is obviously going to light again some of the debate, the old GOAT debate between Holmes and Brady, and just to show you how much they have mirrored to this point.
That's crazy.
Both had won. This is their ninth. This is Mahomes' ninth season. He's won 3 Super Bowls, and season 9, Tom Brady had won 3 Super Bowls. In season 8, they both lost their bid for a 4th Super Bowl, both of them. And in season 9, both of them tore their ACL, and their teams did not make the playoffs. That's crazy talk right there. The fact that these things are that similar. Now, what's going to be really interesting to see is Mahomes has well outpaced him in yardage, in touchdowns, in rushing, all of that. He's killed him. But to be fair to Mr. Brady had an acceleration post his ACL. So his numbers accelerated. The question now will be, in the GOAT debate, can Pat do the same? Will Pat fall off after the ACL? Will he lose mobility? Will he lose some of the magic that he had? Or will he be able to find a way to rally and take himself to that next level? My belief in Mahomes is that he will. He's that kind of competitor, but nobody knows how they're going to respond to that kind of an ACL. The question is, if you're a Chiefs fan, and I'm going to rant a little bit, and then I'm going to give Dexter and Pruitt a chance to respond to my thoughts here. I've been thinking about this ever since I was hanging my head, and with one of my sons, we were mourning the loss. And when we knew it was all going down, when he went out, I told my son who was watching with me, I said, okay, it's actually better that they lose this game now. They need to lose out. They need to improve the draft pick. We have been picking at the end of the draft for 10 years, and it's amazing to be able to sustain the kind of run that we have for 10 years. But the question now is, will the Chiefs be like the Patriots? Will they have a pause and then continue the dynasty, or is this the end? Is this like the Cowboys were at the end of theirs and like no more, and it's going to be 30 years before another title? So here's what I think has to happen for the Chiefs to continue the dynasty, and then we'll get you guys' feedback on it. Okay, we're going to start from the top. Coaching. Matt Nagy probably needs to go. As much as I have enjoyed his time here and what all he's done, I really don't like what happened with the offense this year, and I feel like the offense had more weapons than it's had in a long time to give nothing. And the only thing I could point to is Nagy. Now, some people are going to say, well, so are you saying that Bieniemy was a better offensive coordinator? Listen, I don't know if Bieniemy was a better offensive coordinator. They had a good run with him too, but there were some problems there. What I see with Nagy though is a lack of attention to detail, and they are not doing the little things, the urgency, the blocking. It's not there, and the team doesn't seem to have a belief in him. So I think it's time for a switch there, and maybe Reed, and I advocate that Reed stay around for a couple more years, but I think Reed's going to have to take a renewed interest in the offense and demand a little bit more out of whoever he brings in. So I think Nagy's got to go. Dave Toub, been a big fan for a long time in special teams of Dave Toub. Maybe time to look for somebody to bring some new life into that. The coverage teams have been horrendous this year. The return teams have not been good for the most part this year. Harrison Butker had his worst year. Some of that's on him.
It was bad.
But, nothing, even the punt god didn't look great for large portions of the season. Yeah. I think it's time for some new blood. These guys have been listening to Dave Toub for a long time. So that's what I think needs to happen from the coaching standpoint. When you look at the players, take notes on this, boys. Take notes on this. When you look at the players, the Chiefs are set up to be around $40 million over the cap going into next year. $40 million.
Ouch.
25% of that cap hit is Patrick Mahomes. He's going to have a $78 million hit against that cap. You're going to have to restructure his deal. You're going to have to restructure Mahomes' deal so you can add some more folks to the payroll and give him some ammunition. The second highest paid guy on the team is Chris Jones. Chris Jones is a $45 million cap hit. He is 15% of the payroll. So I think you need to talk to Chris about how you want to restructure a contract too, because Chris didn't play at the level that he's been playing. He's 32 years old next year. I don't know if he's willing to take a hit, but if he wants the team to win, I think you're going to have to free up a little bit of money there. Go to the running back position. You go to the running back position, you've got two guys who have been very, very average, but the biggest problem is the lack of explosive plays. And I talked to Pruitt about this in the Patreon. If you look at the explosive plays the Chiefs have had this year, they have only had 7 running plays over 12 yards. 7 running plays over 12 yards.
God,
okay?
I feel like I can count them.
If you look at 43 running backs who have had 100 or more carries, 43 running backs in explosivity, explosive run rates, Pacheco ranks 40 and Hunt 42. So you cannot have 2 of those guys in your backfield. And as much as I love Isaiah Pacheco, I think it's time for Isaiah Pacheco to go.
Yeah.
You got to get rid of Isaiah Pacheco. You sign Hunt to a small deal. He's your short yardage back. He's good at that.
He does it really well.
But you either go out and draft a running back, Jeremiah Love, or you sign a running back in free agency, because what we've seen, unfortunately, is Brashard Smith is obviously not that guy. Not surprisingly, he's a 6th-round guy. It would have been a shock if he was, but, they obviously don't think he's that guy. They're not giving him the coverage or the opportunities. If you look at the pass catchers, let's go to our beloved Travis Kelce. He's got a decision to make.
Yeah, I think
he's got a decision to make. A lot of people think he's done and he's going to ride off into the sunset. He's marrying Taylor Swift this offseason. He's going to become a billionaire. He has no reason to come back. I think he's back. I think Travis's ego is too big to go out like this. I think the fact that he is number two, he's the number 2 scoring tight end in the NFL fantasy standpoint this year. Now, we all know he's not anywhere close to what he was in the past, but I think he could play a role. So I think Travis comes back for a pittance of a salary to make one last run with Mahomes. And if they go out in the playoffs, they go out in the playoffs. But I don't think he wants to go out like this. And I think he wants to help Mahomes when he comes back. And he's not doing it for the money at this point. He's about to marry a billionaire. So I think they shut him down for the rest of the season. If I'm Travis, I go to him, I say, I'd like to come back. I don't want any more wear and tear on my body. Shut me down. I'll see you in training camp. And he doesn't play the number 1 role anymore. He's not the guy.
Noah
right?
Gray.
Noah Gray takes over in that role, but Travis is still Travis. And when it comes to clutch, if he hadn't had a couple key drops this year, he had a couple really timely bad drops, and that's not him, he would have had an exquisite season. I think I could be wrong, but that's part of my plan is Travis comes back. If you look at the wideouts, okay, let's go step by step here on the wideout. Rashee Rice, solid. Xavier Worthy, disappointing. But I think he could still be it. So we stick with those 2 guys. I think you got to go out and get a solid 3rd guy, though, now, because the Hollywood Brown experiment is over. It hasn't really worked out like we had hoped.
I wish they would give Jalen Royals some opportunities. I want to see what we have out of our kid from Utah State, who
I would like to see him
a lot like Rashee Rice on tape. He looks so much like him. It's silly. And
maybe this last 3 games, we see him because we should see him.
Yeah, with Gardner Minshew, but let's see it anyway. Let's see it anyway.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know why we keep marching Juju back out there. Like, there's nothing to play for at this point. Juju is not the future.
Juju's best asset right now is his blocking, unfortunately. So this should be his last season with us. So Juju's got to go. Hollywood has never fulfilled potential, and he's obviously causing problems now in the locker room. That's why he got benched. They said it was personal reasons, but the word inside the organization was some disrespectful things that were going on, and so he got benched. So
you don't need that.
I think Hollywood is probably gone.
Honestly,
And listen, we got a little bit of a diamond in the rough with our deep threat from New England. Thornton, but he's a one-trick pony, so you could keep him on, but you got to go out and get probably a guy that's more of a true X. And
I would love if they would go get Jordan Addison this offseason.
Would be great. He'd be a great fit.
He won't demand a ton. He'd be nice to have. My God, he'd be really fun to have. He's a perfect number 2, and he can be a number 1 if you need him to be. And if that makes Rashee Rice number 2, sounds good. But I think Rasheed's going to move the change, and it'd be a good fit. And I don't think he'll break the bank. I think he'll be expensive. But if you do some of the moves like you were saying, if we can shave a little cap space here and there to get that, need another weapon, man. And if we can draft a cheap running back, and our line's not that bad. We do need.
Well, that's the
vertical.
That's the stuff that I was going to go to next. So if you go to the line, let's talk about the offensive line.
Josh Simmons.
Josh Simmons is solid.
Yeah,
he's your left tackle. He's going to be solid. You go to your left guard. You're sliding in Kingsley Sumatia. I think he's done more than acceptable in that role. Yeah. So he's a $1.7 million a year guy. Great. You've got Creed already signed. You got Trey already signed. Then you go to your right tackle, and I think you cut Jawan Taylor. If you cut Jawan Taylor, it's a $20 million savings to the cap. Cut Jawan Taylor, you need the $20 million, and you slide Jalen Moore in at the right tackle, or Asa Pole, who honestly has played pretty darn good considering the circumstances he got thrown into.
Yeah.
An undrafted free agent with like no prep time, and they throw him in there, and I think there's something there with him.
Yeah, so draft some support,
get some cheap linemen. But Jalen Moore, I think you signed him for $18 million a year. He's good enough to play right tackle. Put him in there, let him play right tackle. And then your line looks pretty good. when you go to the defensive side of the ball, I think we really need to look hard at some of these guys like Christian Fulton. There's $5 million you could save by cutting him. He hasn't really done much of anything. He's a $13 million cap hit next year. $8 million dead, so $5 million you could save. Michael Dana, $9 million you could save if you cut Michael Dana. I don't think he's had much of a year to
I
speak
haven't
of
heard his name
Yeah.
lately at all.
at all, right? You could save $6 million by cutting Drew Tranquil, but I don't think they will do that. I think
love
he's played
Tranquil.
good enough.
Yep.
And I think he is a guy that you probably keep. Nick Bolton's not going anywhere because you don't save any money by cutting him, and he's the fifth highest paid guy on your team.
And he's the team
He's
leader on there.
He's the team leader. We all know he's limited in coverage, but he is a really, really good run stopper, and people like to play around him. And then I think you're going to have to bring in some defensive backs, do some work in that defensive backfield, and you're
McDuffie's
really
still awesome.
McDuffie's
good.
going to be just fine.
Yeah, I think you focus on the defensive line.
Yep, we need more pass rush.
I know Chiefs fans are probably going to hate this, but I'm kind of done with Chris Jones, I think. It seems like he's way more talk and personality than he is performance the last couple of years.
Especially lately.
He's had 4 sacks this year, which is fine, but Karlaftis has had more.
45, is it 45 million fine is the question?
Right. Karlaftis has 6 sacks. Omenihu has 2 less tackles and half a less sack. I mean, you hear nothing from Charles Omenihu the whole season off the field, right? I mean, he just goes out there and does his job, and he's performed about the same as Chris Jones has as far as stats. He doesn't draw all the double teams.
This out, though.
I get that, but
I know, but he does get double teamed every single freaking play.
Yeah.
Chris Jones changes what offensive coordinators do, and from that respect, I mean, the stats, it's hard for ridiculously talented offensive linemen when there's 2 of them on your guy, and he still makes plays.
Yeah.
My thing, though, is here's the biggest difference I've noticed from Chris Jones is the plays he was making in the past. He was getting there and bringing the quarterback down in those big moments to seal games. Now he's got the hand on him, and he's just missing it. That exact look right there.
So close, like 3 times in that last couple games.
And they're all game-saving plays. Like, if he has that one more step, if he has that little bit more burst that he did 3 years ago, 2 years ago even, that he just doesn't have anymore. So he's the almost game wrecker now instead of an actual game wrecker. And Aaron Donald knew when to call it quits, because when he got the tickle tackles and I can't get him anymore, he hung it up.
Well, a guy that could be interesting for us in this equation, unfortunately, we only saw for one game because of injury, is Omar Norman-Lott. So they drafted Omar Norman-Lott as a defensive lineman who was supposed to be the other big guy inside to help take that pressure off of Chris Jones. And he went out in the first week. Forget what the injury was, but season-ending injury. We don't really know what we got there, but he's only 24. And I think they were counting on him to be a much bigger player, and he just disappeared, right, because of the injury. So I think he's interesting. The other guy that's interesting on the line is I see some promise in Ashton Gilote. He's an edge rusher. He's had a couple of impactful plays in the last few games. Seems like the kind of guy that may be catching on and maybe getting to where he can, make an impact. So we've got him cheap for the next few years. He's $1.5 million a year guy.
He's kind of replaced Dana, I think, right? I mean, I haven't heard anything about Mike Dana in the last few weeks, and you hear a lot about Ashton Gilote and Hillary even, and Omenihu. Like, there's a decent enough core there. I think that and Karlaftis, obviously. I don't know. I think you got enough firepower. You don't need a $45 million Chris Jones. I hate to say it because the guy is phenomenal.
Right.
He's done a great job and been around forever, and he's a feared opponent around the league.
He is. You're right, though, bro. He's a statue guy. He's a guy. He's a guy you could have a statue of, right? There's probably 3 guys you could put a statue of right now in front of Arrowhead. You could put Chris Jones, you could put Travis Kelce, and you could put Mahomes, and everyone would say, "Yep, those 3 guys need a statue, and it'd be just fine." But he's going to be 32, and at some point, I would approach Chris with a restructure deal, and I would say, "Chris, listen, 32, we just paid you a lot. You had a pretty good year, but not good enough, and you see where we are right now. We need help.
Yeah.
Do you want to be a part of the help, or do you want to get shipped somewhere and
We've
see what he
got,
says?
36-year-old Travis
He's
Kelce
So
not
what do you?
going anywhere.
in the locker room too, and both those guys have seen their better days, right? They're still productive players, still
That's
could
right.
play another
Yeah.
year or two, but it's like we can't just continue to pay these 36 and 35-year-old guys that
Yeah.
Well,
It's the
asinine amount of
detriment
money
of the
and expect
team.
to
if
compete.
you look at the young,
Yeah.
you want to talk about it. You want to talk about. You hear people say all the time, it's a young man's game. Well, let me show you how much of a young man's game it is. Under contract next year, right now, the Chiefs have 4 guys over the age of 30.
Yeah. Yep.
Patrick Mahomes at 31, he'll be 31. Chris Jones will be 32. Drew Tranquil will be 31, and Harrison Butker will be 31. If you add Kelsey back in, you'd have 5. But that just shows you like how much of a young. It is so rare to be 30 something in the NFL.
He's still playing.
Like
Yeah.
it's crazy, right? So when you get to that age, you got to take. Sometimes you got to take less if you want to hang around because, like, at the end of the day, you're experienced and you know a lot and you can do a lot, but your body just can't quite execute like it could when you were 25, right?
Yeah.
So
That's
I
exactly
think
I
our
don't know.
right.
So
I think our secondary is still a strength. Like I think McDuffie and Watson
yeah,
and Jaden Hicks. I'm not sure why Jaden Hicks hasn't played more this year. I thought the guy did phenomenal in the preseason.
I agree.
And
Yeah, I
Cook is
agree.
still okay. Mike
Yeah,
Edwards is super old and probably will go away, but I still am curious
yeah,
why they
he's
brought
not
him
under
back
contract next year.
I
and
think a
didn't
lot of these
give.
questions are going to be answered shortly after the season's over, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
specifically after the draft is over. I don't know when you have to actually do the cuts to save the money. I don't know if it's before or after draft. I can't remember right now. I know when they
I think
start
it's
talking about, we all get
Yeah,
really smart on it again as we do every year. But
yeah,
I think
I
that's going
think
to be
it's
a lot.
before.
But I think it's safe to say the Chiefs, they have some work to do. We saw the end of this particular dynasty team. It doesn't mean when you start with the core, let's just look at what the common theme was for 20 years for the Patriots.
right.
It was the coach and the quarterback.
Yes,
That's
Yeah.
the only two, man.
right.
Two people were the only thing. We have Mahomes, and as long as Andy Reid wants to coach, I'll take him. To
Yep.
me, that is what the Chiefs, and especially we have a good GM, which we have, Mike Veach. And if we get the coaching, the
And Brett
coordinators, I'm
Veach.
not overly concerned. I think we just saw some talent drop offs at the right time and some drops at key moments and some bounces and picks that were just out of character and totally weird and random and things that just they average out over time. Good. We're getting them all out of the way this season. It's a fresh slate. Let's see who we got on the roster next year and go from there for the Chiefs.
Yeah,
But I think
yeah,
let's go and wrap up the Chiefs segment and go to our final one. But let's go to our picks.
yep.
So let's rehash our picks from last week and give you our fresh ones that are going to win you a yacht this week.
All right. So last week,
Suffice to
Last
say, we've
week-
been sucking lately.
we
And-
I want you to remember what we were like at the beginning of the season, folks. So
Let's
we
go
were
back to the
red
golden
hot,
days.
and of course, there's these things called averages. We've cooled down significantly to put us an overall hit rate of 50%, which is not horrible, but below what we're used to doing. We have 3 weeks now plus the playoffs to rally and try and pull out some winners for you. Last week we went 1-2. Pruitt gave you Denver money line versus Green Bay, and he pulled that one out. That was our
Oh, yeah.
W.
was a heck of
Dexter
a
gave you
game.
Cincinnati plus. That's right. Dexter gave you Cincinnati plus 2.5 against Baltimore. He was only about 30 short on that, I think.
Who saw a shutout coming? Did not see that.
So I was with him on that. That didn't work. And then I gave you the interdivisional under of Washington, New York Giants, and that didn't work out either. It seemed like it was fairly close,
I
but
think it was
we ended up
52.
yeah, we got
touchdown
another
away.
touchdown in there. So we went 1-2. This week though, we are feeling pretty good about where we're landing. Let's start out with you, Prue. You're the only one that's got a hot streak going. So what do you see this week?
1 in a row.
Hot streak of one.
Hot streak of one. It's more than the rest of us.
Oh, man.
So I don't know what happened to Cincinnati last week. It's still kind of mystifying how they got shut out against Baltimore. I think they rebound this week, and they're going against a Miami defense that's got really nothing left to play for. They might play looser, like Dex alluded to earlier, which might lead to either more scoring or more turnovers. Either way, I think Cincinnati will have the ball. a lot. I think they'll put up a lot more points. I think both teams have a potential to play loose and have fun. So I like the over in this game. I think 50.5 is very achievable with these two offenses. As long as they continue to feed A-Chain, Miami will be competitive, and Cincinnati can put up points with Joe Burrow at the helm.
I like it. Over 50.5, Cincinnati at Miami. Dex, what do you got for us?
All right, so I hate doing it too. That's why I'm doing it, because it's stinky, and I don't like it. But I'm taking Minnesota -2.5 at the Giants. Here's why. Minnesota's roster is exceptional. The talent is so far superior to the Giants, it's not even funny. Coaching is superior. The quarterbacks are probably equal. So J.J. McCarthy and Jackson Dart are probably pretty equal talent, in my opinion. Is like, you can go whatever, like, bull crap, Michigan. No, I'm going Ole Miss. Sure, man. They both have good arms. They can run, and they're smart. I'm going with that. They're both football players. But one team has its Justin Jefferson. The other team does not have its Malik Neighbors. One team has its starting running backs. The other team has Tyrone Tracy. One team has a pretty good line. The other team doesn't. So they're just, the talent is just so different. Minnesota's a top seed last year. They were right there until Sam Darnold pumpkined. I see J.J. McCarthy playing better. Last 2 weeks, he's looked great. If he just plays just like that, just play normal, be within yourself, make reads, they should kill the Giants. They should win by 14. The 2.5, I'm like, well, yeah, they're on the road. They're basically calling it a scratch, and they're giving us some points on the road. I don't think the Giants have the talent to compete, and as what Pruitt alluded to earlier, the whole reason we don't like Jackson Dart as a Geo player, a fantasy play, Flores' defense is real. It's really tough. It's really hard.
Yeah.
Jackson Dart is going to be throwing to Wandale Robinson and Theo Johnson trying to understand this wild defense coming at him. I think the defense wins this game. I think J.J. McCarthy just needs to not turn it over. And I think it's an easy win for Minnesota at New York this week. That being said, it's probably going to be a dumpster fire and all things go south. But on paper, man, it seems like a freaking easy one. I'm going there.
I like it, Dex. I like it.
Yep.
Full disclosure, Dexter's only picked the Vikings one other time this year, and they lost. But I am with you on this one. I like it.
That was on the road at Green Bay.
It was.
That's a tough place to play.
So I like this pick. Speaking of stinky, I'm going to make my pick. There's no way Buffalo shouldn't absolutely destroy Cleveland. There's no way Buffalo shouldn't absolutely destroy Cleveland. However,
letdown game.
Here's what happens with Buffalo. They tend to play the level of their opponent, I've noticed. So when they play a bad team, they tend to not play very well. When they play a good team, they look really good. So I think they just had a huge game. They've got a huge win, that they just came off of, beat New England. They're going to play at Cleveland. Like, they can't be that scared of Shedeur Sanders and what's coming. So, I think they are going to have, what we talked about, I think they're going to have trouble running the ball. And I think it's going to put a lot on Josh Allen. And when Josh Allen has to throw the ball a lot, it's not that good. So, you don't want him to run that much. They're thinking playoffs at this point. Don't want to get injured. This screams letdown to me. I love 10 points at home. So we're going to go Cleveland +10 versus Buffalo. Those are locks. So Cleveland +10 versus Buffalo. The Vikes -2.5 at the G-Men. And Cincinnati at Miami over 50.5 with good weather. So I like the over that good weather spot, especially.
Lock it up.
This feels like a sweep week.
Sweep week. Let's go.
We need one.
All right. I love it.
So I think
that's where we're going to finish this episode. And hopefully you came back after the Chiefs talk and got these picks. Otherwise, we'll post them separate too. So put that on our socials. Other than that, though, as we go into these final couple weeks in Guillotine, we are rooting for you. Keep listening. Hopefully some of our picks help you out and kind of our takes on some of these games. If you have a waffle decision, right? So we're trying to give you the ones we like and don't like. We've been pretty good with our end gamers picking them. And I think we just need to see what happens these last couple weeks. So I hope you make it there. Good luck in your leagues. And when you're making those decisions, biggest, most important thing, you just got to stay shrewd. Till next week.